Good morning. I am Brian Carpenter, sports editor of the Meriden Record Journal.
And I'm Sean Krofsik.
And you are my right-hand man, Sean. We're not color coordinated today, but we are on top of our game. We welcome you to another weekend, another episode of This Week in High School Sports. We had a lot of stuff this week, Sean.
Very, very busy week.
You were very busy, Sean.
You know, we're getting towards the end of the season now in some of the sports, especially. Cross country is rounding out. We started the postseason this week, so and I saw a lot of senior nights this week. So yes. It's hard to believe that the fall season's already coming to a close.
I know, Shawnee. Now, did they have cake on senior night?
No, there was no cake.
For future reference, coaches, ADs, when you have senior night and, Shawnee's going to be there, have some cake, man. He's a good man.
I was invited by the Lyman Hall team after the cross-country meet.
Excellent.
After the Sheehan Lyman Hall meet.
Coach Adorizio?
Yes.
Extended an invitation?
Yep.
Good man, Mike. Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, Shawnee's going to take us into cross-country because he was at the SCC Championship meets. And before I do, I just want a little plug for Wilcox Tech cross-country. Donahue and Shaylin Noble were the CTC Cross Country Champs on Monday. And by the time you jumped onto things on Thursday, a very newsworthy meet down at East Shore Park, right?
Yes,
Sean?
very, very intense meet. It was at East Shore Park in New Haven, and she and freshman Lizzie Brown was great. She was great. She finished second overall at the meet, and she only lost to a junior from Guilford, Meredith Blows, who cleared her by a whole minute, but it was a great showing by Lizzie Brown for sure.
Only freshman. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. As far as team-wise, Cheshire was our highest finisher. They placed second overall, and they were led by senior Rachel Kaplan, who was fifth. And as far as Lyman Hall's top finisher was Emily Ottens. It was a good showing by the locals for the girls. As for the boys, Brendan Murray finished second overall for the fourth year in a row. Very strong effort. He hung with the outright winner, Drew Thompson, for much of the race, and eventually Thompson just took off on him. But Thompson broke the course record, and it's third time in a row he's won it.
All right. I was interested to read your story and also to watch the video that Peter took. The comments from Brendan Murray were very interesting. Brendan's fired up. I know he wasn't happy to finish second. Good for you, Brendan. You got something to chase this coming Saturday, I should say next Saturday at the class meets. Go for it, Brendan. You're a senior. You've had a great career, and I know he's driven after that SEC meet to get a little glory up at Wickham on next Saturday at the class meets.
Yeah, he definitely learned something from that race, and he's going to be pumped up and ready to go for sure. The Cheshire boys were fifth overall. And as far as the Wallingford teams, Stephen Fengler for Sheehan and Alex Fishbein, who met, both rushed to the finish line for 17th and 18th place. So that was a good showing by those kids. The Wallingford teams have been competitive all year.
Now, before I sent you down to New Haven,
yes,
you were poolside on Tuesday, right, Sean?
Yes.
Did they throw you in the pool after that meet?
No.
Coach Neary? Next year?
I was spared. I was kept dry for the night, but Coach Neary was not, as Lyman Hall won decisively for the second year in a row.
Please, some highlights from that meet, Sean.
Yeah. They had three double winners: Sarah Beveridge, Madison Nemick, and Faith Gambardella, and it was too much for Sheehan. They only had 11 swimmers. 3 of them are divers that did double duty, so it was difficult for them, and they didn't really have much of a shot this year, but they gave it all they had. Their lone winner was Marissa Soldi, senior captain in diving, and
you're right about swimming though, Shawnee. It's a numbers game. I know a lot of times going into swim meets, coaches will basically size things up and at times, numbers, the depth. And I'm not talking about the depth of the water, depth of roster. They can almost figure out to a point what the final score is going to be.
Exactly, yeah. So,
but that's always a good night, isn't it, that Lyman Hall Sheehan meet? Boys or girls, they get into it, and it's kind of a close-knit affair. Cuts both ways. They're rivals, but talk about friendly rivals.
Yeah, it's very intense. It's loud. It's a small small pool area, and the seats, there's not many to be had, but those people that are there, they're loud. And the girls afterwards are struck by how intense that meet is.
Yeah. Now it's warm in there. Do you wear your bathing suit and flip-flops?
No.
Coach Neary, next year I want this kid coming back with wet hair. And on Monday you were at Lyman Hall for the Cheshire Lyman Hall soccer game,
Yes.
boys game, right?
Yes, yeah. Earlier in the season, they battled to a 1-1 tie in a very intense game in Cheshire. This year, this time around, Cheshire won 2-1 over Lyman Hall. Nico Ramirez-Acun scored in the final minute of the first half, and then Toby Goldstein scored early in the second half, and they had a 2-0 lead. And Arnie Jandro for Lyman Hall used their top scorer, Jack Gaynor, as defender in the first half. And in the second half, they pushed him up, and he did score. But they couldn't get that second goal.
Gaynor almost seems to score at will.
Yeah.
Having a heck of a season, Jack Gaynor.
Yeah.
Now, while you were there, Kenny was up at Southington for the Southington Avon game. That was also a 2-1 game, won by Southington. Goals by Joe Colicino, who is an Athlete of the Week nominee for this week. Remember to go online. Can we put that right there in my hands? Boom. That's where you go online to vote for our Athletes of the Week contest now until midnight on Sunday. So after you watch football tomorrow, don't forget, vote for the kids. Joe Colicino, one of our nominees this week, he scored a goal. Eli Rodriguez scored a goal. Southington's hot, man, 4-5 going into today's game up at Newington, and they're knocking on the Class Double L door. Pete had some more highlights. I've written them down here, Pete, because you were all over the place. Sometimes I can't keep track of where you go, and you too, Shawnee. That's why I really wish they had given you some cake. On Monday, if I recall correctly, you guys interviewed our Athlete of the Week winners, the two Wilcox kids, Kelvin Cortez, guys, who is now, get this, up to 30 goals.
Wow.
So in between the time you guys saw him and now, he scored 6 more goals. There's like how many days in a week between now and then?
He's amazing.
Kelvin's out of control, boy. What a season. 30 goals. He had a hat trick on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Or Thursday? No, it was Tuesday. Kelvin, you're scoring so much you confuse me. I don't even know what day of the week is. Hat trick, 2 hat tricks, including in that big Abbott game that Joe Testa was so concerned about. There you have 1 game left to go in the regular season. Wilcox does in soccer, and they're undefeated, 14-0-1. Also doing well is Wilcox volleyball. Nicole Tiezzi was an Athlete of the Week. We caught up with her on Monday. We have some highlights from her match with Norwich Tech that day, and it was a great match, Sean. It was like 3-2. Yeah. You got her before the match, right?
Yes, I did.
Good.
I did, yeah.
She might have been a little tired afterward. Went 5 games, and Nicole was all over the place. 13 digs, 12 assists, big 3-2 win. Wilcox girls are 14-4. Another good season for them. Good to see. And the last game you got before we jump into football, Pete, because I know you're going to be off to do football very soon. Southington Field Hockey. Good to catch up with Coach Aaron Luddy's team. They just took it to Windsor. This game 7-0. They had goals up and down the roster. They went on to beat Wamogo 4-2. Mm-hmm. Catching fire here late in the season. They had a match today. I know Coach Luddy will be reporting. We'll see if they can run their win streak to 3. Just a solid team effort that Pete was able to get on video here. 7-0 over Windsor. You know, Shawnee, one thing before we jump into the football, we got some good football tonight. We really do, as all our teams who were on byes last week got back to action. Just want to update Southington Field Hockey since we're coming off of their highlights there. They won again today, 2-0. 3 wins for Southington Field Hockey this week. Good for the Blue Knights. Also a Southington soccer update. Joe Colicino, who is a Athlete of the Week nominee, 2 more goals today for Southington soccer. They are cooking too. All right, and while we're on the Southington theme, we'll lead off with them for the football highlight. Southington, undefeated tonight, 6-0. They defeated New Britain, but Shawnee, a pesky effort from New Britain. Yeah. Not necessarily a one-sided game that it's been in the past couple of years now, was it? The final, Sean, was what, 42-20?
It was, yeah. This was a tight game throughout, at least for the first half. It was 28-20 at the half. The Blue Knights had just a small lead. This had the return of Ryan Montalvo into the backfield. He returned strong with 3 rushing touchdowns, and Joe Casera also had 3 touchdowns for Southington as they pulled away in that second half.
That's right. You can read the details on that in the Record Journal, as well as on myrecordjournal.com. Kenny Lipschitz was there, as well as Justin Weeks, tag team in that one. Good tag team partners there. Okay, other games. It was a good one for Sheehan down in Milford against Ferran. Ferran in the recent years has given Sheehan some fits, kind of dealt them some really tough losses. Tonight, a signature win for John Ferrazzi and the Sheehan Titans. They defeat Ferrand 41-27. This was quite a game. Sheehan fell behind 13-zip early, rallied to tie. By halftime, they took 2 leads in the third quarter. Each time Ferrand answered. Game was in the balance, 27-27. West Tersey hits Jordan Davis with an 11-yard touchdown pass to take the lead. Sheehan's defense holds at midfield. Titans add a late touchdown. 3 sophomores for Sheehan with 2 touchdowns apiece. Jordan Davis, Braden McCarthy, and Terrence Bogan. Big win for Sheehan. They are 5-1. Shawnee, number 4 in Class M for the Sheehan Titans.
Yeah, looking strong. The Titans are looking real strong, and that game was nip and tuck, like you said.
It was. We were wondering if the thing was going to go into overtime. We got an insanely early deadline. I'm like, please don't go into overtime. Yeah. And there was West Tersey hitting Jordan Davis. Boom. Touchdown Titans. Victory Titans. Well done, John Ferrazzi and your boys. 5-1. Also tonight, Cheshire at home at Alumni Field. They jumped all over Wilbur Cross. And they were led by their quarterback, Will Gregoski, filling in for an injured Jack Raba. Shawnee, can you take us through that one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they ended up winning 35-26. The score is a little deceptive. They were up, I believe it was 35-6 in the fourth quarter, and Cross made it a little bit close towards the end. But Will Gregoski totaled 4 touchdowns today, and 3 passing, 2 to Michael Jeffrey, and 1 to Eric Angelone, and it was a big first half, and they held on. Yeah,
those late touchdowns, which killed us on deadline. That's okay. The important thing is Donnie Dress and his Rams get the win. They are 4-2. The Rams really needed that win. And speaking of must-wins, that brings us here to Meriden and to the 2 games that our man Pete went out in video tape tonight. Pete, you had no trouble making the rounds? Just want you to know it took me about 40 minutes today to get from Rocky Hill down to Meriden. So hopefully it didn't take you that much time going from game to game. Pete got both Platt and Maloney. Of the 2, Maloney was riding that 4-game winning streak heading into its bye, whereas Platt had started 3-0, had lost 2. They needed to win tonight to stay in the Class L playoff hunt. And they were home against Bristol Eastern. This game was crazy. There was about 195 points scored, maybe 196. Platt gets the win, 52-39. We're going to go out to Falcon Field with Pete, which is where he started his night. You'll see a big interception return here by Mr. E.J. Dudley. Bristol Eastern was going for its 2nd field goal of the night, and things went a little awry, and that decision to pass was probably not a good one. And there's Ethan Dudley making the pick, taking it back. That was one of 3 touchdowns that E.J. scored on the night. He had pick 6, and kickoff return, and ran for a touchdown, like the pedestrian thing for E.J. Also, Elijah Felton with 3 touchdowns. Good game for him. He hurt his leg in the first quarter, battled back, came out for Coach Jason Bruin, scored 3 touchdowns. Platt gets the win it needs, 52-39. Meanwhile, Maloney up at Weathersfield looking for win number 5 in a row. Did they get it, Sean Cross?
They did, yeah, 27-7. This game was 7-7 throughout. I think it was until the fourth quarter.
Yes.
And then they broke up with Mitch McEwen, a big pick 6 in the fourth quarter to put the Spartans up 14-7. And LaRue Graham had 2 touchdowns to Victor Marquez, and one of them in the fourth quarter there to put him up 20-7.
And I think Pete's got that one here. And I want you to check out this catch by Victor. That is a sweet grab. Look at that thing. Woo! That's up there. We got a couple now, people. We got the great Tim O'Shea catch. Look at that one by Victor. That one's for the highlight file for sure, man.
Great work by Pete, for sure. And Aiden Valentin capped off the scoring there.
Boom. 27-7, Maloney over Weathersfield. Yeah, big play by Mitch McEwen. He's having a very good season at linebacker. And as we look at our Magic Dry Eraser board that we must refer to every show, look at those records, man. All of our football teams that play tonight have winning records. Southington 6-0, Maloney and Sheehan 5-1 in the thick of the Class L and N playoff races, respectively, and Cheshire and Platt getting the wins they need tonight to improve to 4-2. Lyman Hall's at 3-3. Let's see what they can do over the next couple weeks as they come off their bye this week. All right, Shawnee, I believe that covers it. Does it cover it, my friend?
It does. It does. We got it all covered.
It's been a long day, hasn't
it? Yes.
It has. Folks, we're glad you joined us here on Saturday morning for our highlights show. It's always a pleasure to come to you and wrap up our week here with the football stuff. Glad to have all our football teams back in action as we hit the second half. Right around the corner are the conference tournaments, and then, of course, the state tournaments. We'll be here bringing it to you with our weekly this week in high school sports. Shawnee, for you, for me, for my man Pete, I bid you all good day. Have a good weekend. Take care.